What's up, guys, and welcome to this week's market outlook. And this week we're going to be covering from June 5th to June 10th. Now, last week we had NFP, so now we're in the second week. I believe we have FOMC coming soon. I'm pretty sure it's going to be the week after. It's probably not going to be this week. Let's go ahead and check out and see. Yeah, it's probably going to be next week that we have that big news FOMC coming up. But as you can see, later in the week, we have some Euro news, Cad news, and we have some USD news Thursday and Friday as usual. So we're going to start off with DXY, and I will tell you that most of these setups that I'm telling you right now are liable to change depending on what the market does. But as of right now, if the market is still where it's at, as of right now, then they're still valid. Now, for those that are in the mentorship and the mentorship Discord, we do our live sessions in the morning, so we'll see what happens and we can adjust to these setups and adjust how we want to move depending on what the markets did. But as of right now, this is what I'm looking for on all of these pairs that I'm about to cover. So first we're going to start off with DXY. Now, we came close to this redistribution that I was hoping that we traded from. So essentially, I'm not sure if the market's going to come back up here. If we do, then we might just continue higher, because it seems like we already mitigated this, because I don't think they would come up here and, you know, barely miss it just to move all the way down with so much momentum, right? So we could see another redistribution coming down into this area right here, which is essentially our buy zone that we've been waiting for a while now. So essentially, you can see when the market is doing these counter trend, it takes a lot more time for us to reach these areas, and that's why personally I don't like counter trending, because you have a lot of complex pullbacks and just complex retracements. Okay, so essentially that's what we're going to be waiting for. We're going to see if the market actually wants to come down here and target this reaccumulation that we've been waiting for, which is our most recent demand zone. All right, if not, then if we come out here and take out this high, then we're probably going to see us continue higher, and maybe we'll just make a new high and this whole thing will become a reaccumulation. We can continue like that. We don't know. I mean, that's a little bit far-fetched as of right now, so we actually don't know. We'll just have to see how the DXY continues to move along. Okay, so on your USD, we started to see a sign of weakness by breaking this low right here. So this showed us some sign of weakness in the market as we were approaching the supply zone. Now, I do believe that we can still get one more drive into this supply zone, but we'll have to see how the market adjusts from there. Okay, so that's what I'm really looking for. Right now, we're in the middle of a range because we haven't neither bought nor sold as of right now, because, I mean, I was expecting us to sell from this supply zone right here, and we essentially took it out. And there is no other real supply that is holding us up here that I can see the market trading out of. Because there is no regional supply at this high holding us, I believe that we can still get that one move up to the downside and trade inside of this supply zone up here. So moving on to AU, right? At this point in time, we're going to try to buy AU since we did invalidate this supply zone. Okay, we invalidated supply zone with a reaccumulation. So now the market is retracing back down. So essentially what we're going to do is we're going to try to buy it out of this area right here. And for those that are in our mentorship, you know what we're looking for over here. We're looking for that change of character on the lower time frame during the right time. You can see that AUD USD has just been reaccumulating after reaccumulation. So this is the latest reaccumulation. This is the last manipulation of that took out all this liquidity right here. So essentially that's what we're going to be looking for, that market to come in here on lower time frame and get that buy higher. Now, essentially, if we do break this, then we could potentially see that sell come in. And like I told you guys, all of this is liable to change depending on what the market does. All right, that's why we do the live sessions in the morning, so we can trade the markets as they are in real time. All right, moving on to USD Cad. Now, USD Cad is one of those pairs that are better than others. We are approaching a higher time frame demand zone. The reason why it's a higher time frame demand zone and it's a high probability demand zone is because it is part of this structure leg. Okay, so essentially we're approaching an area to where if buyers are still interested in the market, they're going to have to buy from this area. Now, not specifically meaning they're going to have to buy from here, because we could just go a little bit lower and still buy, and this would still be valid. But essentially we are approaching an area where there was a lot of buyers present in the market. You can see we had an accumulation here, then we had a reaccumulation, a higher time frame reaccumulation, and then you can see we had a lower time frame accumulation that mitigated this higher time frame accumulation, right? That's a lot of accumulations. So essentially we're approaching this area that had a lot of demand in it. So that's what we're going to look for. I'm looking to see if we can get more of a retracement down here. Maybe we can get a retracement into this area, and then we can see that lower time frame entry take place. Okay, so essentially we're going to have to see the market prove to us that they still want to buy from here. And more likely than not, we're probably going to see that. We could see that this week. We could roll into next week. We'll just have to wait for the market to approach this area. Now, if let's say we go ahead and boom and break this high right here, then this right here could be a potential for another buy opportunity. Okay, if we are able to invalidate this high and invalidate the supply right here. Okay, so USD Cad is pretty simple. We're just waiting for us to come and mitigate this higher time frame demand zone. Now, Cad Jpy is bullish as can be. So right now, Cad Jpy is one of them pairs that if you have an opportunity to buy it, you want to just buy it, simply because we're seeing reaccumulations after reaccumulations. I mean, if I go on a higher time frame, since we are still on a lower time frame, if I go on a higher time frame, you can see this market is just insanely bullish, right? So we're seeing reaccumulations after reaccumulations, and even on lower time frame, you're just seeing reaccumulations after reaccumulations. The problem is some of these reaccumulations have not been mitigated, right? So essentially, the market did not come here to mitigate this reaccumulation we're looking at. We had another one in here, and we just had another one here. Market didn't come down. So essentially, we have a smaller time frame reaccumulation over here that we're looking at. Maybe we could see that mitigation here. If we don't see that mitigation there, then we could potentially come into here, or we could go even lower into there. So just be on the lookout for that. But that is the first area that I'm going to be waiting for, and I'm not taking a limit order from there. Okay, as you guys know, we're going to look for that confirmation entry. It's a must that we see that confirmation entry so we can actually prove that the market wants to buy from this area. Moving right along to Euro GBP. So we are finally starting to see this market move. So I know you guys have been here on the last couple outlooks. If you've been paying attention to these market outlooks that I've been doing, these market analysis, you will know that we talked about Euro GBP reacting within this area. Well, we got that reaction. Afterwards, when we got that reaction, we kind of seen the market slow down for a bit. We had this huge spike, and essentially we came back down, and now we're starting to see the market start to buy up again. We're seeing signs of reaccumulation, reaccumulation. That's showing us a lot of buyers' interest. Okay, so essentially, you could have participated in this mitigation right here. There's actually a accumulation down here, which you could have participated in. You could have participated in that mitigation right there. There's actually an accumulation down here that we were looking at during the live session that we had. I believe this was on a Wednesday. It was on a Wednesday or Thursday that we're looking at this mitigation right here. And we've seen this accumulation. Unfortunately, the market did not give us that entry before we took off. So we were looking for it to come back down. It didn't do that. So essentially now what we're going to do is we're going to play off of this reaccumulation right here that was recently created. Now, if we do not make it all the way down here, we're going to look for another reaccumulation that we can play off of. Okay, so moving on to Chf Jpy. Chf Jpy is one of those other pairs that's just bullish as can be. We're seeing a lot of bullish intent, a lot of reaccumulations as the market is just going and going towards the upside. All right, so essentially, you guys already know the deal. This is the latest reaccumulation that we've seen, so this is the latest demand zone. Now, I am waiting for the market to give us an entry within this entire demand zone. Okay, so essentially, you know, during the right time, if we see the market give us maybe an accumulation with a change of character, we will take that towards the upside. All right, I believe we could go a little bit lower than this. I was looking for a mitigation of that, but we could go a little bit lower than that since there is unmitigated price action in here, and we also have an accumulation down here on lower time frame that we could come back down and mitigate because there is an imbalance down here. So that's what I'm going to be looking at. This entire area is valid for an entry. So just keep your eyes out for Chf Jpy, as we could see that come in and give us that buy towards the upside. Okay, so now we're on Cad Chf. Now, Cad Chf has recently invalidated the supply zone, which is now telling us that buyers are interested in this market as of right now. All right, so essentially, this is kind of like the same thing as the other pairs and the other markets that I've been showing you. We're seeing a lot of reaccumulations. we have this order flow leg that we're looking at right now. This is the slingshot of our leg. So essentially we're looking for the market to come in here, give us that buy towards the upside, or if we do invalidate this, we still have this huge manipulation here that we could potentially come into and trade from. All right, and if we're looking at that huge accumulation, you know, we want to come to at least the 50% since this is a huge area. Okay, or we could simply just mitigate that tiny price action, but me personally, I'd wait for that huge area itself and not focus on that tiny price action. All right, so I mean, Cad Chf, pretty simple. We're looking for buys here first. If we go past this area, then we could see a buy out of this huge manipulation that was created. Okay, simple as that. Now, last but not least, GBP CHF. Now, this right here is something that was recommended to me by one of our students during a live call that we're having on New York session. We have this huge distribution with a redistribution, and now we're seeing another distribution, which is just super clean. I always remember this market as being super clean, but it does like to chop up a lot, so that's where you just have to be careful. Now, essentially, we have showed a change of character right here, so that's what we're going to be waiting on. We're going to be waiting for that retracement to continue us down. This market is looking super bearish right now, so we're going to try to sell this down as much as we can. Okay, if you guys have any questions or concerns or any recommendations, you can contact me in the comment section. I usually got the comment section. You can contact me on Instagram, Telegram. You can shoot me an email, whatever is easier for you. And I will see you guys in the next video. Peace out.